Call it protective, but girl, let's get real. Your edge is screaming, your strands can't heal. You braid it tight, then leave it for a while. But that ain't care, that's a neglective style. Call it protective.
I am back! What it do, baby?
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use, for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing.
What if I told you that right now, as we speak, you have parasites within your hair's follicle? Demodex follicularum. Demodex follicularum is a parasite that lives inside of the human hair follicle. And today we're going to talk about how most likely the overgrowth of this parasite within the hair's follicle is what's causing the burning, the itching, the swelling, the balding, the thinning, the scabs, and so many other scalp issues that we look at as CCCA, telogenal fluvia, folliculitis, and so many other forms of alopecia. So if you want to learn more about this parasite that lives in your scalp and on your eyelashes, then make sure you keep watching to the end of this video. Don't eat anything. Don't be eating food or anything while you're watching this video because it's gross. So first, what is a parasite? Most people would say, what? I have parasites? Yes, right now you have parasites on the scalp, which is why I always say that absolutely nothing goes on the scalp except for shampoo and conditioner unless you're trying to cure an infection, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first, what in the hell is this? Demodex is a parasite, and I know that
your scalp is skin, living, breathing tissue, just like the rest of your body. And just like your face or your back, it reacts to tension, lack of cleansing, and buildup in very real biological ways. So let's break it down. What actually happens when the scalp is in tight, styled, unwashed, and unbothered, for 5 to 6 months, from the follicles to the floral. So the scalp's gridline, these are permanent parts from tension. Now, this happens from a couple of different things. Number one is going to be follicle training, because when your hair is kept in the same braided or locked style, parted in the same way, the follicles literally realign themselves. The hair starts growing in that set direction, just like grass that gets brushed down in one path every single day. Over time, that creates visible tracks or grid lines. Number two is going to be the density loss along the part. Tight styles often cause traction alopecia. Hair slowly thins or falls out at the roots along those same lines. This makes the part look more exposed and defined over time. Most people get locks, and their loctician, who doesn't have a scientific education background in any way, shape, or form, tells them not to shampoo their hair for months on end just so things can lock. And the overgrowth of yeast and bacteria that you have is out of this world. But let's get back into it. Number three is going to be your scalp's memory. Skin remembers tension when it's pulled in the same way repeatedly. It stops bouncing back. The follicle, skin, and circulation adapt to this stress, making the parting permanent looking even when the style is removed. And I know you guys recognize that. And right now, this is before the shampoo. This is what his hair looks like at the root. And a lot of you are probably watching this right now like, oh my God, this is so gross. But if you have braids in your hair and they've been there for longer than 2 months, your scalp looks the same exact way. Skin stretching. The scalp has elasticity, but tight braids can stretch the skin over time, especially if you reinstall in the same exact grid. That stretching causes mild tension and indentations. Yes, your scalp can get stretch marks too. they're just leaving a way less visible pattern. But girl, you can have stretch marks in your scalp too. And when we go into hair salons and things of that nature, we think that the longer we or the more we pay for a style, that means you leave it in longer. No. Let's talk about not shampooing the hair for 5 to 6 months. You might think, I've kept my hair up, so what's the harm? But your scalp doesn't stop being skin just because it's hidden. Skin cells happens every single 28-day to 48-day period, right? Your scalp sheds skin cells every 28 to 40 days, and without cleansing those dead skin cells, they stack up and mix with oil, sweat, and dust along with product residue. So what is the result? That super thick, chalky, grayish, or yellowish buildup and flakes that you see are not just dandruff. It's actually not dandruff at all. They're literally waste your skin is trying to get rid of. So what's actually lurking in all of this buildup? Now we're talking a microbiome. Your scalp is home to millions of microbes. Here's what's thriving after about 5 to 6 months without shampooing. Demodex mites, which we talk about in the video in the description, right? The one that I played at the beginning, or malassezia yeast, which we also talk about in a video that I have. You have bacterial overload, and your scalp is a host to up to 1 million bacteria, up to 1 square centimeter. Listen, your scalp can host up to 1 million bacteria per square centimeter. Do y'all understand how much bacteria is in your scalp? So in a healthy, balanced environment, these bacteria are fine. But after 6 months of no cleansing, it really builds up. It is so important that you really learn to cleanse your scalp on a regular basis. And y'all protective styles are not protective at all. They're actually very neglectful. So instead of calling them protective styles, like one of my viewers said at the beginning of this video, we're gonna call them neglective styles, because all you're doing is neglecting your scalp and your hair shaft, right? So all of these different types of bacteria, there's a specific type of bacteria on the scalp. Let me know if you want me to go deeper into it. But this form of bacteria actually thrives without oxygen and grows deeper in clogged follicles. So you having clogged pores and clogged follicles, some forms of yeast and bacteria that live on your scalp actually love your hair like this. So this kind of bacteria that is able to really live and prefers environments that have less oxygen, when you are clogging the scalp, that is what you're making room for. So this can lead to scalp acne, different bumps, folliculitis, tiny painful bumps, or inflammation in that area at the root or all over the scalp. So what is buildup actually? When you scratch your scalp and these flakes fly off, here is what's actually happening. Those are dead skin cells, keratin, right? Oxidized sebum, oil that has turned into thick, waxy, and sticky substances that's dried up with other things. Demodex mite carcasses, like literally their dead bodies, yeast byproducts, bacterial film, environmental grime like dust, pollution, sweat, different salts. It's not just dandruff in your scalp, it is your scalp's all of the byproducts, all of the things that are happening over those 6 months. And you think that you're doing something by not properly shampooing your hair. You're literally just making yourself literally a playground for yeast and bacteria. Now, through my channel, I tell you guys so many different things about the human body. Some channels here on YouTube are a step-by-step, like, oh, use this product and put this product here and put this product here. That is not what this channel is. This channel channel breaks down the scientific information that you need to know so you can truly master your body. But at the place that we're at right now, all we're focused on is hair products and hairstyles, the end result. Well, the reality of it is you should really only be having your hair in about 2 to 3 hairstyles for the entire year. But most of you think that every time you do your hair, you're supposed to get the same exact hairstyle. You're supposed to switch up your part from the right side to the left side, from the middle to like no part at all. You're supposed to switch it up all the time, because just like every other part of your body can create memories, so can your scalp. And that is why I broke things down the way that I did in this video, so you guys can understand that everything is not as simple as people try to make it. When we're talking about oils and greases and butters and all of the things of that nature, it does not belong on the scalp. And every single time I say something like that, you always find somebody's granddaughter like, oh my God, my grandma used to oil my scalp. I don't care what any of y'all say. Our grandmothers did not treat our hair the way that we treat our hair today. You say, oh, my grandmother and my mom used to put oil on my scalp. She didn't do that every day. Most of the time, your mom probably did your hair like once every 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes you would get your hair braided and those braids would stay in for the entire month, right? And your mother greased your scalp the day she put the braids in. That's it. The beads aren't taken out every day or every other day and then oil is added to the ends and then the beads are put back on. No, our mothers and our grandmothers that did things the right way, because just like there are dusty women in 2025, there were dusty ass women in 1950. I know for a fact it was, because I met some of them. Okay, but I digress. When we are talking about the bacterium that lives on the scalp, when you are constantly oiling and buttering and greasing the scalp, all you're doing is feeding those microbes. It doesn't matter how long your grandmother did it or how long your mom did it, because the majority of my clients now are beyond the age of 60. Most of my clients now are 60 plus, because contrary to popular opinion, a woman that's in her 60s and 70s is not okay with going bald. But once they hit 60 or 70, a lot of these things that they thought were they had escaped from began to catch up with them, right? So when I come here on my channel, it looks like I'm just always trying to say, oh, you're stupid. No, that's not what I'm doing. I am telling you that I'm basically speaking to you from the future. This is your conscience, right? I'm speaking to you from your future, right? Telling you that if you keep greasing and buttering and oiling the scalp, you will really experience less than you really can. And I always get certain women in the comments that are like, oh, well, my grandma and my auntie did it for years and we were fine. I don't care what your mama and your grandma and your auntie did and they were fine. There are a lot of people who do crack for 40 years and still keep a job. Does that mean that everybody should do crack and just learn how to do crack their way so that way they can keep their job and be a functional crackhead? No, crack is still whack. You still are feeding Demodex mites whether you want to believe it or not. Now here is the Demodex mite life cycle, right? They start off just simply eating the body's sebum. They're automatically there. You don't want to put things in their proper perspective. It's not a conversation of what's better between oils and butters on the scalp or oils and butters on the end. It's a matter of where and when and how are you supposed to use these products. For example, if we're talking about a heat protectant, right, you can look at the ingredients of a heat protectant and see, oh, it has one of the ingredients may be castor oil. Maybe you like castor oil and you say, ooh, this leave-in conditioner got castor oil, so I can put it on my scalp. No, you cannot. You have to look at everything in its wholeness and in its fullness, right? Look at the polymers, look at the other ingredients, and only use tools as they're meant to be used. If you have a heat protectant, where are you going to put the heat protectant? On the parts of your hair that you're going to be using heat on. Well, it is the same exact thing for an oil or a moisturizer. Okay, listen, when we're talking about moisture, the definition, the Webster's Dictionary definition of moisture is to create a barrier. Knowing what you know about the human scalp, about Demodex mites and all of the different microflora that lives on the scalp, what needs a barrier, the scalp or the hair shaft? I'll wait. Okay, neither, actually, because your scalp actually has sebum, and if you comb your hair on a daily basis, the sebum makes it from your roots to your ends with no problem, right? But let's say you have your hair in braids and mentally you just feel like you need a little you could use a half of a dime size amount of oil, mainly from your mid shaft to ends, and mid shaft means halfway, midway up the hair shaft and then down. But you don't need to do anything else outside of that. And I'm saying a half of dime size amount because our hair is microscopic and you don't need all of those thick layers of oils and butters. So the thing is, women on social media are telling y'all that these protective styles are good for your hair, and it's not. What you're looking at right now is yeast, bacteria, the bodies of these Demodex mites that have exploded, their children. All you're looking at is bodies. Your scalp is a freaking graveyard. So if you want to keep on being a funeral director, then go ahead, leave your weave in for 5 to 6 months. But I need you to understand what you're looking at right now, all of the crud that's falling out, that is not dandruff. That is the Demodex mites that you're looking at. Those are their exploded children. The yeast and bacteria and all of the things that live on your scalp, they eat all of that oil and all of those butters you were putting in your scalp, and then they do it out. And it's oleic acid. Video linked in the description body below. Those are byproducts of the yeast and bacteria that live on your scalp. I'm sorry, but your protective styles are not protective. They are extremely neglective. It is an easy way for you to tell yourself that you're doing something good to your hair by completely leaving it alone and not touching it. There is no way to neglect your scalp faster. There's no way to cause scalp inflammation faster than doing your hair this way and doing these types of things. But I digress. We're going to go even deeper in my next video, but I want you to think about this on your own first. But let's listen to these new songs.
Scalp so dirty, baby, don't get close. 5 months in braids, now you doing the most. Flakes so thick, you could butter some toast. Dead skin stacking like it's trying to post. I said, wash that scalp, don't play me, sis. You got mites having brunch up in your twist. Grid lines deep like a cornrow map. Follicle begging, can we please unwrap? You cute, got the inches and bundles, but that scalp smelling like old cheese and rumbles. Cell turnover, got your roots in shambles. Demodex mites throwing wild ass gambles. Bacteria throwing block parties on your part. Yeast on the beat like it's modern scalp art. You're reinstalling with no shampoo, sis. You basically loking and mildew. Fine, tight part, tight braid, same damn grid. Now your hairline looking like it ran and hid. Talking about it's protective, baby, stop. You protecting that buildup like it's top notch. Now, scalp so dirty, baby, don't get close. 5 months in Locs, now you doing the most. Skin cells fall like confetti in a storm. You got scalp congestion in its rarest form. You cute, but the crown need a cleanse. Let the follicles breathe, girl, make amends. It's not just gunk, it's a biohazard. Your scalp a whole lab, no cap, just facts, girl. scrub, not with dish soap. Use a clarifying love. Oil that scalp, stimulate the base. Rotate parts so your strands keep gray. Stop stacking wigs like you're ducking the feds. Your real hair under there screaming for meds. Blood flow blocked, pores on strike, and you wonder why your twist ain't looking right. Cyn Doll don't lie, she just tell it straight. You want long hair, but you got scalp hate. So lather it up, rinse twice for the gods, or stay out here looking like scalp on the cob. Oh, scalp so dirty, it's crying in pain. You got gridlines gripping like a braided chain. Build up thick mics, throwing a rave. Girl, just shampoo, save what's left to save. They call it protective, but girl, let's get real. Your edges screaming, your strands can't heal. You braid it tight, then leave it for a while. But that ain't care, that's a neglective style. They call it protective. Tight, got your scalp on fire. You sacrifice health for a look you admire. But traction, alopecia, don't lie. It starts at the line where the follicles die. Hair follicles shrink under chronic stress. Inflammation builds when you never let it rest. That tension's trauma, it ain't just pain. It's micro tears that don't grow back again. She said it's tucked and it's safe, I'm retaining length. But the breakage at takedown be killing your strength. You ain't moisturized in 3-4 weeks. That style ain't saving, your hair's looking weak. They call it protective, but girl, let's get real. Your ends are dry, that growth won't seal. You think you low maintenance for a while, but that ain't love, that's a neglective style.
Let's talk hair cycle, anagen to shed, growth phase disrupted. If your scalp ain't fed, no blood flow, no cleanse, no oil to hydrate, then you crying at breakage, but it's too late. Wigs with no barrier, glue on the skin, follicles suffocate, can't even begin. Leave-ins ignored, deep conditioner skipped. The crown needs care, not a long guilt trip.
Protective don't mean forget, it don't mean set it and regret. It's slow manipulation with hydration and check-ins, not a tight grip with invisible dead ends.
So call it what it is, not divine, not a trial. That protective you rockin' is a neglective style. Treat your hair like a crown, not a castaway isle, and you'll see real growth, not just trends for a while.
Well, call me what it is. You need silence, it needs science. Moisture, tension, balancing time. Neglect is not protection. Let's start treating our styles like care, not escape. Oliver Dow.
Sis.